What are we supposed to believe in? Asked Natasha, a student teacher in Tver, a rundown provincial town between Moscow and St. Petersburg. In the past, our young people had a party, and its young movement, pioneer, the Cosmo. It's all rubbish, maybe, but at least it was there. Natasha and her friend at the student coffee are all training to teach young people. Like 94% of Russia aged 18 to 29. She does not go to church. She had been once or twice out of curiosity, but didn't understand it much. His own parents are not religious. Russian young people live in a moral and spiritual vacuum. A decade after the collapse of communism, there's little to fit in. Schools are mostly tatty, depressing and too short of cash to do more than trying to preserve basic educational standards. The Young Club, summer camps, and other activity of the Soviet era has collapsed for lack of money. Sports facilities are expensive. Sugar, a master 22-year-old in Yukastan, in Serbia, spent every morning in the summer months playing football with his friends on a patch of waste ground. The rest of the time he looked for passengers to fill around town in his deceptive Toyota. The slender profit could for an occasional trip to a sports center during the winter. Had never been to church. I'm recording. Young Russians can meet the boundaries and poverty of the life with drug, alcohol, precarious sex, and crime, and all too often to do so. But there is also preserve an opportunity for anyone offering something more wholesome. The Scout movement, for example, has sponsored since the collapse of communism. There are tens of thousands of members of Scout and Guide troops with a wide range of affiliations. Western other charities that work with young people are usually overwhelmed by the enthusiasm and gratitude of the response. But there's one notable absentee, Orthodox Church. Russian National Church is by far the best place could be charitable organization in the country. It offers are bursting with cash from business activity, as buildings in most parts at least of European Russia. Its priests and church workers can, if they want, get into schools, orphanages, barracks, and prisons that are all but closer to less privileged denominations. It enjoyed a strong resurgence of interest around 1990, and the Soviet persecution of religious activities slacked and then ended. Since 1988, the number of Orthodox preserves had nearly tripled to 19,000. The number of seminaries has increased ninefold to 29. The number of monasteries has increased 24 to nearly 500. But interest among the young is generally later fell back, in some cases because they realize the church often hard a center of discipline rather than furnish feel-good mysticism. The church in turn does not seem much interest in them. Some Orthodox parishes do carry out impressive young work. Patalemia, an analytical-minded Orthodox priest in Russia's westernmost province, Kaliningrad, has churches offering bustling with young people involved in discussion groups and social events. In Tatarsa, a dedicated Orthodox nun, Mary, has set up a charity to work with young people at risk. It runs a school troop, a church cult, and a Sunday school. One of the biggest young groups in Russia is at the parish of St. Caucasus and Dana in central Moscow. Its activities include Bible study camps and work with young prisoners. Yet such successes are inevitable small scale. Even print runs for religious books aimed at young people rarely exceed 5,000. Problems of disorientated young, in contrast, are huge both in numbers involved and in their complexity. They're hard for even an idealistic young group to tackle. The Hosnell Christian Young Club at St. Thomas and Dame Parish, for example, has been helping young prisoners with letters, books, and visits. is about to be released. He will be penniless and homeless, and unskilled with a criminal record. What hopes has he of a job? Even if the group was able to support him in Moscow, he lacked paper to live there legally. We don't know how to help them, these boys in practical terms, said an organizer. We can bring Christ to them, but we feel very, very weak. One problem that much of the church is still rooted in the Soviet past. Many senior church figure out their days with active KGB informers. Cost Institute, Western research outfit that specialized in religion in ex-communist countries. Some large documents suggest that the current patriarch himself was a Karaite, an accusation that church vulnerably denied. Since collapse of communism, the Orthodox Church has remained close to the state. In radically divided business slice, it tends to ignore the challenge of facing religion dominations in a modern secular society. Unlike church in the rest of Europe, the Orthodox Church was largely untouched by the growing intellectual current of the late millennium, the Renaissance, the Reformation, the Enlightenment. In one way, it has been a source of strength. The Orthodox Church has preserved both mystery and a sense of history, which the watered-down religion of West Europe country often lost. It is also a weakness. A century ago, the Lutheran Church seemed to be in danger of catching up with history. So the revolution stopped them dead, encouraging instead a dogged defensive among those who did not just give up, creating a timid official church based on little more than folk religion and its own privileges. That historical burden still weighed heavily. Whether or not the Russian church wants or ought to open itself to new ideas, most of leader figures have spent their life doing just the opposite.